Well, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started with this board meeting. I am interim for Mr. Carlson. So here we go. Officially called the meeting to order. And do this one more time. Here we go. We have a roll call, please, Ms. Cotter, for attendance.
Yes, you may. Ms. Cotter is here. Mrs. Grubakowski?
Here.
Mr. Wiseman?
Here.
Mrs. Dodd?
Here.
Mrs. Pastana?
Here.
Mr. Wiseman?
Here again.
Oh, yeah, I didn't check you off. I got it now. And Mrs. Forrest?
Here.
Apparently, Mr. Carlson is not here. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, no. Okay, so please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There's the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will wait on items from the board president because he is not in attendance yet. So next on the agenda, we'll move to approval of the agenda. Roll call vote, please.
Yeah, I would like to make that motion to approve the agenda as presented tonight.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Ms. Cotter
Got you covered.
and Ms.
Thank you.
Pastana.
Thank you. So Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Pastana?
Yes.
Mrs. Grubakowski?
Yes.
Okay, good. Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd?
Yes.
And Mrs. Forrest?
Yes.
Thank you. The agenda is now approved as presented.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the rest of the items from the board president. We have a Huron Valley heroes plural in our audience, a Huron Valley Community Coalition. Mr. Tournier is going to take it from here.
Thank you very much. Vice President Forrest, members of the board, members of the community. This evening, we are pleased to recognize the Huron Valley Community Coalition under the leadership of Randy Root. And with support from Jordan Niduk, the coalition has expanded its impact on the students and families of Huron Valley schools with a broad range of programming designed to build healthy communities. In 2016, the coalition was awarded a federal drug-free communities grant, bringing $250,000 in funding to support coalition activities. Since that time, the coalition has received additional funding, both federal and county funding, to deliver such programs such as Drugs 101, underage drinking prevention, anti-vaping initiatives, and life skills, and much more. Both Randy and Jordan have achieved their Certified Prevention Specialist designation, demonstrating their enhanced professionalism and impact on the Huron Valley Community Coalition. A recent initiative of the coalition is a multifaceted underage drinking prevention campaign. It includes tamper-resistant tape program designed to provide parents with a way to monitor alcohol and drug containers. The program gained national recognition as a prevention strategy. The coalition is guided with the support of its sector representatives from across our community, and it includes participation from Detective Dan Caldwell of the Milford Police Department, White Lake Police Chief Dan Keller, Milford Village Manager Christian Worth, and our very own Denise Pastana, Treasurer of the Board of Education. Students, parents, and business representatives also serve as sector representatives on our coalition. At this time, I'd like to welcome Randy and Jordan, and Mr. Pastana is going to represent the board this evening to recognize our heroes.
Well, it is my honor to serve on your board as well as to serve as the advocate for the coalition. So I'd like to bestow this to the Huron Valley Community Coalition for outstanding work in the area of substance abuse, prevention, and investment in the health and well-being of our HVS students. And if I can just say, these two work so hard and have been such an asset to our community and our district. The few words that I would say would not be enough to tell you all of the wonderful things that they do. And I'm so happy that they represent us. So please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Denise. Well, as you know, building trust with community members is really vital to the work that we do, and we do that by demonstrating integrity and maintaining our fidelity to our planning processes and our prevention strategies. And we've worked very hard, not just Jordan and me by any stretch. All the folks on our board and all the other community volunteers have really pulled together to make sure that we did these things. And so I'm really proud of that. And I'd like to thank those people who recognize that. But most importantly, I'd like to point out that over the last 5 or 6 years, because of this work, we've seen a significant reduction in youth substance use among HVS students. So I'm very proud of that. And it's an honor. It's really an honor to help lead teens toward a drug and alcohol-free life in Huron Valley Schools. So thank you again.
If you could hang out at the podium for a second, if we have any questions or comments from the board. Ms. Cotter?
Yes, thank you. This is to Jordan and Randy. My tenure in Huron Valley probably exceeds most people in this room, but I want to say that you brought a new face to our coalition and the service that you've provided to our students. I just want to say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. You two have made a big difference. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Ms.
So this work is near and dear to my heart. It's actually where I started, not here at Milford High School or Lakeland High School, but back on my side of the state with substance abuse prevention, and have worked with groups that you work with. And I know how important every small step is for every kid. And there are so many kids who they don't find their place, but they find their place with the two of you. And they know that that when they come and see you, that there's somebody special and that you are two people who will listen to them. And that's super important, especially as we're talking about all the things we're talking about as it relates to the mental health of these kids and the social emotional supports. You are two of the most important social emotional supports that they have at the high school. And we are really grateful for the two of you.
Well, thank you, Laura. Is it appropriate for me to say about 40 under 40? I should have said something about Jordan. Jordan recently was named one of the 40 under 40 in Oakland County, and that's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of really sharp people. This is a big county, and a lot of people are doing cool things, but out of the whole county, for her to be with us and to get that kind of award, I feel like a proud papa, and I hope you all are proud of her as I am, because not only is it cool that we've got somebody this cool with us, but she's doing stuff that matters. And she will continue to do that for a lot longer than I'll be around. And so I'm just counting that blessing amongst the many that we have.
Ms. Grismakowski?
I have the opportunity to work with Jordan in my business world, and I have appreciated what the coalition has done to not just to educate our students, but to educate our parents. Jordan and Randy have come and given Narcan training to our business owners, and many of those business owners are parents or grandparents. And so that education continues even outside of the education world. And I just appreciate what they do on a daily basis. I appreciate Jordan, and I congratulate you for being 40 under 40 at Oakland County. That is a huge accomplishment. Very proud of you.
Thank you, Amy. Also, anybody else before I go? Just, one last thing. Just thank you for your service. I know you do great work, and you really do represent Huron Valley Schools really well. So thank you for everything you do.
Congratulations. Good job. Well deserved.
I'm done.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Congratulations to both Randy and Jordan. Truly, we are fortunate to have the partnership with the coalition that we have in the school district. So great job to both of you. I also, as I believe we're going to have both Randy and Jordan here with us next month, and we'll hear a little more detail regarding the specifics of some of the work that they're doing in the community. So we look forward to that as well. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Knudsen to the microphone. This evening, we will be highlighting Lakeland High School. So Dr. Knudsen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salah and members of the Board of Education. We are so excited to be here for the first time in a couple of years. Lots of wonderful things going on at Lakeland High School, but I want to draw particular attention to our computer science program. Just a little bit of background. I have these three wonderful students with me, and they're going to do the bulk of the presenting to tell you about their experiences, because I think that, that's how we get the best impression of what our programs here in Huron Valley Schools, how they work to really support and bolster our students. But our computer science program began in the 18-19 school year. Was the first year we had AP Computer Science principals. Mr. Perry, one of our ELA teachers, who also has a background in mathematics and programming, really wanted to bring this program here to Lakeland. It began in 18-19, so this year is its fourth year in existence. And in that time, oh my goodness, for the year 1920, the second year we had this program, LHS received the College Board's AP Computer Science Diversity Award. This is an award that is important because it acknowledges work toward equal gender representation in STEM programs. And Lakeland was one of about 800 schools globally that was given this honor for the amount of females typically underrepresented in STEM fields who participate in the course. But we've also had continuous growth and interest. We started out our first year with 2 classes. Then we had 3 classes. This year we have 4 computer science classes and had to bring in another teacher. So Mr. Labutte has graciously come on to this computer science team and working with Mr. Perry at Lakeland. And I looked at the numbers before I came in this evening, and we're going to be running a cybersecurity program next year. So that will bring a 5th STEM course. And I really want to say, we're STEM now, but I know that STEAM is a huge thing, and that's our next charge, is to integrate the arts into what we are doing with computer science. But without further ado, I would like to introduce the 3 students who have participated in this program, still in the program, and they're going to tell you all about what they've done. And that's Giovanni Janai, Mahana Gallmeyer, and Kyle Kraus. And I believe, Giovanni, you're first.
Okay, so this is AP Computer Science Principles. So as Dr. Knudsen highlighted, it was launched in 2018 to 19, the school year. And basically what we do in this class is we take not an entire super deep dive into computer science, but we do a bunch of little things, right? So we cover the cybersecurity program, and we cover other things like learning, computer languages. We first start off with Scratch, and then we move on to Python, which is a text-based coding language. Scratch is a block-based. So if I may direct your attention to the top image, this is what a little determination does to a student at Lakeland High School. So this program is made in Scratch. It's a game. It's pretty fun. And basically, it's pretty complex for what people make in APCSP, so this is why we wanted to highlight that. The bottom 3 images show a core part of the APCSP program. It's the Spherobolt. The Spherobolt is a programmable robot that you could code it in JavaScript, and you could either do that text-based or block-based. Either way, it both works the same. And the bottom left shows a maze that the students build, and they're interacting with it, and they're having a lot of fun and learning as well. I'd like to introduce Mahana for APCSP.
So the next course you can take is AP Computer Science A, which focuses on the basic teachings of the Java coding language. And it launched last year, and there were 17 students in that course. And we used Amazon's adhesive curriculum, which is in the top right. And it was very traditional, as it gave a video with a skill and then a couple exercises that helped the students to practice it. and then moving on to the next one. However, this year, Mr. Perry decided to switch and try a co.org curriculum, which is in the bottom right. And this one's very non-traditional and unique, as it focuses on this base theme of community and it links the skills through that. So you can create menus for food trucks or street art or ticket sales for a theater. It all based back onto the idea of community. Most recently, the unit of LitFest, which had the students write poems or stories, and then they had a program which would give values, either positive or negative, and then it would have the program decide if the story was going to be happy or sad. So it just scratched the idea of AIs, which was really interesting. And so here's a couple examples of the street art. There are these like little chickens on them that you can see that we're helping to draw and create the images. And that was that's just a good example. And so now I'll introduce Kyle.
As Dr. Newton mentioned, I am Kyle Kraus. I would consider computer science to be one of my passions, and Lakeland's programs in computer science have helped me find that passion. I took AP Computer Science A last year, and I'm now taking Computer Science Independent Study, as you can see on the screen. Computer Science Independent Study started this year as a result of previous success of computer science at Lakeland. It's much different than the other computer science programs at Lakeland, as it does not follow a strict curriculum, and students get out as much as they put into the class. It is focused on specific individual development of skills and is self-paced. The students of this class can choose what topics to explore, how to turn their curiosities into reality, and what to do day to day. The class uses whatever resources necessary to complete any task at hand. Some of these resources are using industry professionals to gain advice in terms of specific realities in computer science, ordering textbooks and reading them off the internet, and then just generally using the internet. Also, this class is in any and all coding languages, depending on what is necessary to use. On the screen to the right, you can see two of the textbooks that have been used this year to explore computer science. And currently there are 2 students enrolled, me and Giovanni. Here are some examples of projects that have been completed this year by students taking computer science independent studies. Pictured left is a spaceship launch simulator, which simulated the experience of launching and landing a rocket on a 2-dimensional Earth. Students then gave this simulation to an AI that evolved into an algorithm capable of landing the spaceship on its own. Pictured on the right is an example of video games that students have programmed this year. Left of this, you can see the resource used to program these games, Unity. And on the right, you can see the finished builds of this game. Now Giovanni will return to the podium and speak about how Lakeland's computer science program has affected him personally.
Thank you for the introduction, Kyle. So when I went into the program, I had very little experience, just maybe basic computer hardware under my belt. But, you know, coming into the program, I learned a lot very quickly, and that was kind of intimidating, but eventually it became, it became normal. And I started learning real world knowledge that I could apply, I started learning practical knowledge that I could apply to the real world. For example, not too long ago, my parents received mail that was from a debt collector, and I realized, based off of the flags that I was told to look for, that this was a scam. There was many grammar mistakes. There was no website, no number to call. They wanted to pay in gift cards. That was the that was the thing that really gave it away. And then another thing I would like to highlight is Mr. Perry's willingness to always help and, you know, move heaven and earth to aid you in anything you want to do. So after Lakeland High School, I hope to get into a college. And then my ambition is to get into a top computer science or just like a top tech company, Google, Amazon, Facebook, any of those. That'd be desirable.
So I also came in with little knowledge of computer science, as I'd actually only ever taken the basic computer classes that you would take in elementary and middle school. So this was a pretty big jump for me. And I was intimidated at first, but the structure of the class along with Mr. Perry's help, allowed me, a complete novice, to be able to learn and understand basic Java. And so I left the class with a pretty good understanding of Java and great exposure to several aspects of computer science, including AIs, virtual reality, the sphero robots, and cybersecurity. Mr. Perry did a really great job of not only introducing Java, but also the other parts that are included in computer science. And so taking this class cemented my belief that I wanted to major in the STEM field. And so now I'm actually looking into computer engineering for my major. And it also helped me to realize that I can do it because I didn't need to be perfect or know how to code already to learn and decide this is what I want to do. And so in the future, I am hoping to participate this summer in Michigan Tech's Women in Engineering Summer Youth Program. And I'm also enrolled in AP Computer Science Principles for next year.
Computer science at Lakeland High School has literally changed my life. Originally, the only reason I took a computer science class was to get a chance to have an hour with my senior brother, who was also taking the class. The course I took was AP CSA, and what I took from the class was invaluable to me compared to any other class I've taken throughout my school career. Combined with my curiosity in the subject and Mr. Perry's attitude, I was pushed to have a deeper understanding in the class I took. I now have a direction in life and am a more structured and driven person overall. Although I've always been successful academically, I now know what my passion is, and that is computer science. And now when I go to college, I would like to major in computer science. Other than this, I've been able to use my learned computer science skills practically. Lakeland's computer science program has guided me to code in my free time for fun instead of for work, which is an incredibly nice skill to have. As a matter of fact, recently, I used my own algorithm to generate my March Madness bracket. I had Kentucky going to the final. So, not that good, yeah. And then finally, I would like to highlight Mr. Isaac Perry. He's a fantastic example of a great teacher, and he strives to make computer science tangible and realistic for all students at Lakeland. If it weren't for him, I would not have such a positive experience with computer science as a whole. Thank you to Mr. Perry on behalf of me, Giovanni Mahana, and all students at Lakeland for having such a grand impact on the lives of a vast majority of Lakeland students and for launching the computer science program at Lakeland. I would also like to thank Dr. Knudsen and the entire school board for giving us three the opportunity today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All
And
right.
are there any questions?
Thank you. Ms. Pastana.
Maybe more of a statement. You three are very impressive. I'm not surprised. And I really appreciated your presentation. It was great. It really, it made me excited, made me want to take the class because I don't know anything about computers. So it was really well done. And I know all three of you will go far. And I'm really proud that the district offers this type of thing. So thanks to Mr. Perry and Dr. Knudsen.
Thank you.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes, I too want to thank you for spending some time to educate myself as it relates to the classes that we're offering. It's very impressive as it relates to the offerings, considering that we've really just scratched the surface. And I'm very glad to hear that we're expanding our STEM offerings to STEAM, including the arts within that technology. It was important in your presentation for not only for you to explain what the classes were, but one of the things that we pride ourselves in as we develop curriculum is two areas. One is rigor and the other is relevancy. And obviously, you concluded your presentation today, all three of you, as it relates to the relevancy of these classes and how these classes that you're taking really leads to, and for you to discover what your passion is and provide some direction for you into the future. The only question I do have, and it's to Kyle, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I appreciate that. In fact, maybe next year I'll reach out to you when you're developing the NCAA brackets, because I'm curious, within your program, did it pick St. Peter's?
No, it picked Kentucky to go to the final.
Well, I have Kentucky. I know that we're not supposed to be talking about brackets, but I also had Kentucky going to the final.
So that did not.
And I didn't use a computer on that.
But I am like 7th place in my like 25-person competition.
Oh, that's good.
So
Well, then maybe I'll reach out because I'm always looking for advice. But seriously, you had mentioned that you are taking the opportunity to take an independent study class, and I always find that very challenging for a young man like yourself to take that, because obviously that's also preparing yourself for the future. But I am curious as it relates to that class and what some of the challenges that you face taking an independent study class like you described, and how that benefited you.
So Giovanni and I also, we take that course together. And I'd say one of the biggest difficulties with taking one of those classes is that to get into class every day and without having such a structure and such like a teacher presence, I would say, to like motivate yourself to learn and get stuff done and actually like read a textbook, because those are boring. And also I would say doing research and figuring out what kind of projects or activities you can do to like apply what you've learned. Is there anything else you want to add, Giovanni? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Great job, all three of you.
Thank you so much.
Miss Dodd down there.
I am an arts person, and I have for many years heard STEM and STEM and STEM and STEM and STEM, and I get it. I'm in there. I love to see, especially that we have women taking this class who maybe were thinking, you know, this isn't for me, but you did it with no prerequisite and you came in and now you feel really good. But hearing you say computer science changed my life, I never thought I would hear somebody say that. And it's I'm going to take that with me for a while, because I think as an arts person, I think about music changing people's lives, and art and dance and literature. But to hear computer science changed my life, that's really important to hear. And I appreciate that you said it.
Anybody else? Oh, okay.
Apparently, I'm going to be chatty tonight. I just want to thank you for coming and making your presentation. It was professional. It was well articulated, and you know, as a mom of a student who's actually in the computer science class with probably a couple of you, I'm really impressed with what you are learning. As Ms. Dodd said, I know that computer science can change your life because that's what my husband does for a living, and it is so important that you're learning this here and developing this passion. That is exciting to me. I do have one question for you. I know that you do our coding in Java. What other languages have you at least explored or learned about?
So yeah, we have the fundamentals of Java down, like pretty down. We explored some C# with our Unity projects. We both did a little bit of JavaScript. I did a little bit more because I did a Discord bot that was mostly JavaScript. And then we also did, Python, of course. Python for the machine learning unit that we're doing right now. Anything else? Yes, C++ a little bit because we were exploring with another game-oriented thing, Unreal Engine, which uses C++. We didn't get into that because we already did a game unit, so we want to do something a little bit different. Yeah, HTML and CSS, of course, but those really aren't coding languages.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Anybody else? Well, then I'll just go real quickly. I do appreciate the presentation, and especially how your thought process in the next steps, that you're thinking beyond the classroom and how you're going to apply your knowledge going forward in college, in a business, et cetera. So that's, you know, interesting to hear the thought process of high school kids as it relates to what they can apply from school and beyond. So I do like that. I am also excited that we have a computer science class. It just makes sense, you know, that we are well into the 21st century here. So I applaud you for that. My dad worked with computers in the 50s and 60s at Bendix, and they were like these giant machines, and, you know, engineering classes, maybe one girl in a class of 120. So that is changing pretty rapidly too, so that's great. I'm also interested in the independent study as Mr. Wiseman is. I kind of wonder how that was formulated. I personally feel that we could expand independent study into other subjects and it could be integrated all kinds of ways. And I think that students motivating themselves, you guys mentioned it, it's hard to do something without direction, from a guide or a teacher. And, that really does build capacity in kids. So how did that come about, the idea of independent study?
So last year, Mr. Perry went around to the classes to some of the students he found were more advanced or excelled faster than other students, and basically just said, "Hey, I'm thinking of offering this class next year. Would you be interested if it was offered?" And a lot of students said yes, but a lot of those students said they couldn't take it because they already chose their schedules for the next year. And then I talked to my counselor about it, and she said that Mr. Perry would have to jump through a lot of hoops to get that done, and he did get that done. So, yeah, it's really nice to have the opportunity to have one of those independent study courses.
Well, pass on my thanks to Mr. Perry because I'm glad he got it done, and I'm sure Dr. Knudsen, you may have something to do with that as well. So, thank you. That's all I have. So, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you guys so much.
Hello. So Tom mentioned about relevance and rigor as I was listening to the presentation. The other piece that strikes as well is, it is the 3 R's: relevance, rigor, and relationship. And I heard that key piece of that presentation and thought about the relationship that Mr. Perry has. And I can see it in each of your eyes. I also see it in my son's, who also is in the AP computer class as well. And what a phenomenal teacher. Our mission statement here in Huron Valley is inspiring and building futures one student at a time. You can inspire students without having an inspirational teacher. And that's exactly what Mr. Perry is. And we're so grateful to have him here in Huron Valley School District, and especially here at Lakeland High School. So I just wanted to make sure that I was passing that on as well. And the next item on the agenda is items from the superintendent.
Mr. President, we bypassed items from the board president. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on anything else.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. President. So I have a few items this evening. I will add my impressions to our Lakeland High School students. You guys did a great job. I'm not surprised. I'm always impressed with our students when they come forward and share their thoughts. This was a really interesting presentation that I haven't heard in the past before. So congratulations to each one of you, and also, of course, to Mr. Perry and Dr. Knudsen. Thank you for all the work that you do every day on behalf of our students. Great job. So a few things this evening. First and foremost, I received a letter from the Michigan Association of School Boards. I just wanted to highlight here for a moment and congratulate Mr. Wiseman. I don't know if your fellow board members know this, but you are receiving the Award of Distinction from the Michigan Association of School Boards. For those of you in the listening audience, probably wondering, well, what does that even mean? I can tell you minimally, it means that Mr. Wiseman spends a lot of time in classes to learn about what good governance looks like and what being a board member is all about. The levels, he completed all levels 1 and 2 courses, which includes 43 courses, including 4 advanced courses and at least 208 education credits. So congratulations, Mr. Wiseman, to you. This morning, Ms. Root and I started our first meeting was this morning, recording a video cast with Fred, who's on the camera right now. And we had an opportunity to talk about a few things that we'll highlight that will come out in the video. So please look for that. It's Education Matters Live. We think it's important to continue to update the community regarding current events and things that are important. A few of the key highlights related to the Education Matters Lives. We talked about where we're at in terms of school safety in the school district, the work that we've done, not only recently, but in the past. We talked about the ongoing task force work that has been taking place throughout the district. And we also spent some time talking about bond projects. And I just want to highlight for a moment, if you have not noticed, driving by 4 of our elementaries in our early childhood center, a lot of construction is ongoing, and it's pretty remarkable to see that progress. If you drive right in front of Lakeland High School on Bogey Lake, you'll notice there's a lot of really large pipes sitting out there, and that's for the water main project. That's long overdue. You can clap for that. That's long overdue for this Bogey Lake campus as a result of our taxpayers recognizing that an investment was needed in our schools. $182 million bond and about a $20 million sinking fund were passed over a 10-year time period. That's about $200 million in investments in our schools that were desperately needed, and that's going to also cause for us to have clean, fresh drinking water from the township coming through to the campus here. So I'm grateful for the partnership with White Lake. They're building an iron filtration plant to go side by side with that pipe laying, and it's really going to pay off for the community and for the school district. So it's really awesome to see all that progress taking place. And again, I just want to thank our taxpayers for supporting the schools. So stay tuned for that Education Matters videos. And then this has been sort of the week of the arts for me. Really, I was asked the question the other day, is Huron Valley a school district that just says that we're a AAA school district, or are we actually a AAA school district? Do we believe in the arts, athletics, and academics? And it was a really good question because, a lot of times school districts are sort of have taglines and slogans and, hey, this is what we do. But I can say with confidence that this is a school district that truly believes in the arts, the athletics, and academics. I mean, we saw a wonderful academic presentation this evening. You walk into our hallway and there was a beautiful art display. Ms. Puska and I had an opportunity to talk with Chloe, one of our students out here, who was showing off her art projects. On Saturday, I had an opportunity to attend the Pops musical. It was outstanding. It was titled New Beginnings. The kids did a great job. My favorite song was Sweet Dreams. The kids just performed it. It took me back to my childhood when I heard it. It was just fantastic. I got an email from actually Mr. Nelson, or Dr. Nelson sent an email to Mr. Gorgic, who sent me the email. And I just want to read you some of what it says about some of the work our LHS and IA West students are doing here for choir. On Wednesday, concert choir and Lakeland singers performed at the MSVMA District Choral Festival at Kettering High School. Both ensembles received an I Excellent rating. In addition, Lakeland singers received a perfect 30 of 30 score on the sight reading component, something we are particularly proud of. And on Friday, the Bluebirds performed at the State Solo and Ensemble at Madonna University. The group received an extremely high score of 116 out of 120, including a perfect score on their performance component. From Mr. Bob Green, I received a communication from him that on Sunday at Troy MCGC Invitational, the Huron Valley Winter Guard had an awesome performance and competition, walking away with a first place win in their class with a score of 72.36. Outstanding. Another communication from Mr. Green on Saturday, March 12th at the Gibraltar Carlson Invitational for Winter Drumline. Huron Valley Percussion had a great performance in competition and finished second place with a 77.05. The group has been working incredibly hard and gearing up for this next state championships held at Lakeland on April 9th. And then last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't point out one of the really cool art projects I bumped into today at Oxbow Elementary School, and I had to snap a picture. This is a clay project. Our teacher there, Miss McGinnis, showing off some of the work of our kiddos. It's a bobblehead. So you'll see the reason she's holding with one hand the top and the lower half the bottom, it's because they're actually creating, these pieces separate, and then they'll come together and it'll be like a bobblehead. Sound kind of like I am sometimes in a board meeting, just a bobblehead. So just really proud of the work that all of our students are doing from art projects to musicals to percussion to our art classrooms at the elementary level. We truly are a AAA school district. And so with that, thank you. That concludes my remarks this evening, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Slaw. All right, we will move to items from the board. Board Secretary.
I have no correspondence to share tonight. Thank you.
Board Treasurer.
Nothing tonight.
Vice President Forrest.
I'm just going to say I miss my elementary clay projects. Made me a little happy and sad. Amy knows to see that. So, thank you for that presentation on the arts. Appreciate that.
Mr. Weissman.
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Dodd.
I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's put in a ton of work for March's Reading Month. As an elementary parent, it's just nonstop, the reading and all the reading excitement that's happening. And it's super exciting. One of the things I thought about when my daughter was just absolutely tiny was how cool it would be to watch her learn how to read. And now to have her and her friends and everybody so darn excited about books. And honestly, I think March's Reading Month may be close to like right before Christmas. They're just geeked about it. So thanks to everybody who's put in a ton of time to help get these kids super excited about reading, not just this month, but the whole year long.
Ms. Grisomkowski.
Nothing at this time.
All right. All right, your mic's out. We can share this one. All right, student leadership. We'll now go to association comment. Ms. Hollander.
Good evening. Once again, it's really hard to follow the students. You did such a professional job up here, and we're talking language that I can't even begin to understand. So thank you for enlightening my day. Over the past 2 years, the social emotional needs of our students has been a topic of conversation at board meetings, at central office, at our schools, with our families, and within the community. Addressing these needs continues to be a shared interest between us all. Previously, for many years, the Huron Valley social workers coordinated a fall resource night to support our families. Out of recent discussions from our schools and at our district-wide task force meetings, it was determined that a community resource night should be planned again by our social work cohort, this time with this focus on the social emotional needs of our youth and teens. Tonight, I want to highlight a few key pieces of our resource night to make everyone aware of this exciting upcoming event. The goal of our HVS resource night is to provide a Huron Valley community with an opportunity to learn about supporting the social emotional needs of our youth and teens, as well as linking the community to local agencies who are available to support our families. Get out your calendars because our spring resource night will take place on the evening of Thursday, April 21st. Parents, caregivers, and community members will be able to participate in 2 ways, either in person at Milford High School or virtually. The evening will begin with a keynote speaker, Dr. Tiana Rooney, founder and executive director of Perspectives Therapy Services. Dr. Rooney will speak on the social emotional health of youth. After that keynote presentation, there will be breakout sessions available to attend. These sessions will focus on relevant topics such as social media, anxiety in youth and children, substance abuse, and effective communication with youth and teens. Participants will have the opportunity to attend 2 of the 6 breakout sessions that will be offered. Also that evening, over a dozen local agencies will be present in our vendor area. Some of the local agencies include Community Sharing, our local libraries, the Huron Valley Community Coalition, who we heard all about earlier, Oakland County Health Department, and Easter Seals, to name a few. These agencies will be available throughout the evening to share information on all of their resources that they have to offer our community members. So after spring break, be on the lookout for additional information and a link to registration. We hope you will consider participating in this Huron Valley event. It's going to be an informative and important night in the Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have public comment for agenda items. I do have 2 citizen participation forms, but they're non-agenda items, so we'll keep moving along here. Reports from board committees, our standing committees. The executive committee has not met since the last time we had a regular board meeting. We do have a executive committee meeting scheduled for April 4th. Will be our next meeting, and I'll turn it over to TLT. Ms. Dodd.
Sure. We had a meeting bright and early on Friday morning, March 18th at 8 o'clock. Present were myself, Ms. Cotter, Ms. Pastana, John Tavernier, Jennifer Bjorkman, Lena Nemeth, Kristen Chastain, Connie Gilbert, and Kathleen Miska. Hope I said that right. It was a really wonderful meeting, actually. Not that they aren't all, but it was great. We did not have public participation or comment. Our agenda, we had a science update from Ms. Gilbert and Ms. Chastain about continuing science curriculum and resource adoption pilots in the district. We specifically focused on the JK through 2 focus on phenomenal science. They've been testing it out and are getting ready to launch it in the 22-23 school year. Next, we talked about social studies textbook purchase. Ms. Miska shared an overview of the realignment of the social studies standards adopted by the Department of Education in 2019. That's the Michigan Department of Education in 2019. The district has been reviewing course sequencing and resources to meet the needs of the new standards and focus on moving from simple to complex, from concrete to abstract knowledge and skills. The curriculum committees have recommended replacing our old textbooks and expiring online resources with the newest available resources from the same publisher, TCI. The committee supported this exhibit that will appear on the April 11th, 22 consent agenda. And we do have resources available to review if anyone would like to review them beforehand. The item C was the 22-23 calendar. On March 7th, HVEA and administration reached a tentative agreement for the 22-23 calendar. The proposed calendar was reviewed and supported by the committee to appear under new business on this evening's agenda. Other consent agenda items, we discussed early literacy resources, and we were in support of implementing the Read by Grade, or in support of the Read by 3. HVS continues to leverage grants to support early literacy, integrating nonfiction texts into instruction and supplying nonfiction reading materials for students to use in the classroom will support the effort. So there was a 3-box tonight on the agenda, on the consent agenda, to help support the purchase of some nonfiction science books and series books to support the curriculum resources that the committee does support. Future meeting is April 8th with a start time of 8:30 a.m. We adjourned at 9:51.
Thank you. We'll now go to Finance and Operations Committee. Ms. Pastana.
Finance and Operations met on Wednesday, March 16th. We started at 2:33 p.m. Present were myself, Mr. Wiseman, Ms. Cotter, Dr. Salah, Mr. Van Gotham, Mr. Tavernier, Mr. Reeby, Ms. Kerrigan, Ms. Maruskin, Ms. Timberlake, Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Wenrick. There was no public comment. We're talking about the regular consent agenda items. The first thing was the district received a letter stating there was a lockbox open in 1989 that's still owned by HVS. There was quite a discussion about what's in the box. So administration is asking the board to approve the retrieval of the district safe deposit box and its belongings and close out our account with Bank of America. Under unfinished business tonight is the Oak Valley Middle School parking lot reconstruction. We are asking the board to approve T&M asphalt paving contract in the amount of $653,222,000 plus a 10% contingency and 2% general conditions for the replacement of Oak Valley Middle School parking lot. It's part of the 2020 Capital Projects Fund. New business tonight, Mr. Tavernier is asking the board to approve the purchase of desktop computers and monitors for a total cost of $689,389 plus a 10% contingency. This was part of the planned summer refresh and the district's plan to replace desktop computers for teacher, office, and ancillary staff, as well as supporting our career and technical education programs at Milford and Lakeland. The funds for this purchase are included in the 2020 bond, as well as the 21-22 career readiness and the 21-22 added cost budgets. Then we talked about the bond construction update. Don Rogers from Clark updated us on bid pack 4, the remaining punch list items. The lockers at, bollards and benches are in and they'll be installed during spring break. Lockers at Oxbow are going to be installed Friday, and Johnson's are slated to arrive in mid-May. Bid pack 5 is well underway at all the schools. They shared the cost sheet to date along with millwork changes, playground equipment discussions. We'll be sure to include building committees, parents, principals, as final selections are made and put on order. Mr. Tavernier also shared the calendar for the 22-23 school year. Ms. Kerrigan spoke of the summary of bills paid report that has been used for many years compared to the latest version of the summary of expenditures and check register reports. Heather and Nanette have been working on this, incorporating the new software system, along with striving to find more efficient ways to be as accurate and detailed as possible for the board. It was agreed that this latest version will be used going forward, with the first one to be presented and approved at this evening's board meeting. Our meeting was adjourned at 3:22. Next meeting is April 6th at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Treasurer Prestana. I will now move to Communications, Marketing, and Legislative Committee, Vice President Forrest.
Sure, we have not met. The next meeting will be April 8th at 10 o'clock. We changed the time, either earlier or later, 10 o'clock. And I can help you with E down there, Arts, Athletics, and Activities. We have not met. We will be meeting at a date to be announced in April.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll now move to Section 9, Consent Agenda. And if I can get a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A1 through A6.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda
Motion
A1
made
to
by Ms.
A6.
Forrest. Do I see support? Support by Ms. Cotter. All right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
Mrs. Forrest?
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Grzymkowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman?
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd?
Oh, she just for a second.
She stepped out for a second.
Okay, I need to also. To Mrs. Pastana?
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson?
Yes. All right, sufficient voting in the affirmative. The motion passes. All right, we'll now move to unfinished business. Why don't we take a brief recess here for about 5 minutes? Thank you.
Good. Did she?
Yeah.
I was like,
All right, unfinished business, Section 10, Title IX and non-discrimination policies. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Salah.
Thank you, President Carlson. So this is the Title IX and non-discrimination policies that I shared last board meeting. This has been presented to the Executive Committee on January 31st and February 28th. It's also been shared in board notes on February 4th, February 11th, February 25th, March 4th, and at the last board meeting. I believe we've received any questions that are related to Title IX and the non-discrimination policies, that we've answered those questions. I'm unaware of any additional questions at this point. I would ask for the board's support this evening with the Title IX and non-discrimination policies.
All right, I'll ask for a motion on this. A motion made by Ms. Pastana
I'll support.
and support by Ms. Dodd. All right, is there any questions or comments? As it was just mentioned, this has been in front of us and in front of a few committees. Mr. Weissman.
Yes, just a quick question. These policies which have been brought forth, as you mentioned numerous times, this is following our new Neola policy updates, and this is the first process, our first update following the Neola guidelines, and there'll be other policies in the future that we'll be adopting.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding these policies? Ms. Grzymkowski.
Dr. Salah, you and I had a conversation about in these policies, we talk about a complainant, and we had talked about the fact that these are K-12 as well as special needs. Is there, the language it made it seem like more of an individual as opposed to a parent bringing a complaint. Did we receive any feedback from our attorneys about that? That was the only thing that I noticed that might be confusing to parents, that they could bring a complaint on behalf of their student, especially a younger student.
So I asked our legal counsel to review the policies. There's a Title IX policy and there are 12 associated non-discrimination policies. Attorney said that the documents were legally compliant and followed the statute as it was presented by the feds.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead for a roll call vote.
Okay, Mrs. Pastana,
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd,
Yes.
Mrs. Grzymkowski,
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman,
Yes.
Mrs. Forrest,
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Motion passes, and we'll now move to item B, Oak Valley Middle School parking lot construction. Can I get a motion first?
I'll move it. TMM as our people.
All right, Ms. Forrest has made the motion and supported by Ms. Cotter. All right, any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move for a roll call vote.
Yes, thank you. Mrs. Forrest.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Grzymkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana.
Yes.
And Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Thank you.
7 voting, enough voting in the affirmative. Motion passes. We'll now move to new business, section 11, desktop computer purchase. We heard this with the finance and operations report. And is this a first reading, or we look, at least on this item it is. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Trevernier, do you want to just
Yeah, I
give
can
some
give just
highlights on this?
A quick summary. So again, as reported by the Finance Committee, also was at the TLT Committee on March 2nd. So as part of our bond program, this is a replacement of desktop computers. We've identified 663 computers across the district, including teacher office and ancillary staff computers that are due for replacement. In addition, we have 68 computers that are planned for replacement, supporting our career and technical education programs at both Milford and Lakeland. So we're requesting approval from the Board of Education to approve the purchase of desktop computers and monitors for a total cost of $689,384 plus 10% contingency for adjustments in quantities and pricing. And so this is a first read as it's a bond purchase. We have budgeted this in the bond as well as our career readiness and our added cost 61A funds for our career technical programs.
In those estimates or that dollar amount that came in, is that the amount of funding that we had set aside for those
It is.
funds? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Weissman.
Yes, due to the fact that this really conforms with our strategic plan and our master plan as it relates to technology, and the fact that we all are recognizing the concerns that we have with the supply chain and anxious as it relates to getting these in the hands of our staff and our students, I would move that the Board of Education go ahead, even though it's a first reading, to approve the desktop computer purchases as described in Exhibit D.
Okay, a motion's been made by Mr. Weissman to pass this evening. Is there
I'm going to
support?
support that, Tom.
And Ms. Cotter is supporting
you.
the motion. Any other comments, questions, or concerns by board members regarding this item? It's pretty straightforward. Ms.
Just,
Forrest.
is this working, are they going to be installed once school's out this year, or?
Yeah, this would be a summer refresh.
Project?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move for a roll call vote.
Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mrs. Grisomkowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Forrest.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Order those computers.
All right. Motion carries. All right. We'll now move to new business item, sub-item B, 2022-23 school calendar. Who might turn in? Mr. Tavernier.
Yep. So again, as reported, both at the Finance Committee on March 16th and TLT Committee on March 18th reviewed the calendar as was agreed to by an tentative agreement between the administration and the HVEA. Each year when we talk about calendar, we start with, we use our IBB process. We start with a countywide common calendar as a starting point. The 22-23 calendar is that's before you tonight is similar to the prior school year. It continues with the amount of professional learning time for teachers while continuing to meet the required 180 days and 1,098 hours of instruction for students. The calendar before you includes 183 teacher workdays and 176 student attendance days. Back in the 2019-20 school year, we were able to leverage professional development towards the 180 days with certain conditions that are met. And so we have leveraged that opportunity for the past few years. One of the things that we did note was that days forgiven for if there was more than 6 snow days or outages or other reasons for school closures, that with this calendar, those days may not be forgiven. So that was something we wanted to make sure that all stakeholders understood. I know that Ms. Hollander shared that with the executive board in adopting this calendar. So before you, you have a calendar that we have agreed to, and we are recommending the Board of Education approve the 22-23 calendar as presented.
Do I have a motion to adopt the calendar as presented?
I'll make the motion to adopt the calendar as presented.
All right, Ms. Forrest and Ms. Dodd is supporting that motion. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Weissman.
Yes, Mr. Tavernier, a couple of key highlights I think parents always want to know as it relates to the calendar. When is the first day of school?
Yeah, so the first day of school is actually, we had actually agreed to that last year. So as we adopted the 21-22 school calendar, we also agreed that the first day of school for the 22-23 school year would be Tuesday, September 6th.
So it'd be post Labor Day.
That is correct. It is post Labor Day.
The other highlight within there, and I know it's a safety, a security issue too, is I know that there's tentatively, I think, 2 or 3 election dates that are established already. How are we handling that?
Yep. Thank you for asking that. So we've in the past few calendars we've done this. So on election day, so in November it's the first Tuesday after the first Monday, so November 8th of 22. In March, the second Tuesday of the month, and then in May, the first Tuesday after the first Monday, are potential election days. So they may be primary elections, there may be local millage elections, local library or other municipalities. And so those are the days that we've inserted as professional learning days for our staff. but they are non-student days on those 3 dates.
And that's due because our buildings are utilized as precincts.
Some of our schools are precincts, correct, our voting locations.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I have a couple other questions. You mentioned the number of days, and I know that parents talk about the 180 days.
Yep.
And we have less than that, but more importantly, our hours are similar to a school district that might be going 180 days. Our number of student hours are the same as theirs.
That is correct. So we have 1,000, actually a little over 1,098 hours built into our school calendar. So the school start times and end times, dismissal times are a part of a calendar as it's presented.
Thank you. And in the final, I know that parents are very anxious as it relates to the 22-23 calendar, even though we're still in 21-22. Is this going to be out on the website?
So we will post it out on the website. The other thing I would just want to note is that while I mentioned the countywide common calendar is a starting point for us this year, with the way the break falls in December and January, the Oakland schools did allow for a waiver of that county calendar, and we know some of the surrounding districts have already adopted their calendar for the 22-23 school years and have taken advantage of that waiver, and we are recommending that as well.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Ms. Dodd.
I want to thank you for taking advantage of that waiver as it relates to the December holiday break or the December winter break. You know, that we were going to have the first day of that break be the 26th of December and go through the 9th, and that just seems kind of wonky. So I appreciate that HVEA and code and everybody who worked on this adjusted that a little bit. And I also want to point out one of my favorite things about the calendar, which is the 3 days in February. So our February break we've had recently is 2 days. This extends it to 3, so a total of 5 if you include Saturday and Sunday, which is a nice break. The winters can be long, and so having that 5-day break there in the middle of cold, dark February is very much appreciated. And I would like to say on the record, I've said this to John already, but knowing the first day of the year for the next year was very valuable this year. And I know we don't have this in this calendar, but I would love to see that in the future. It helps families and really our community schedules a lot based on the school calendar, summer camps, break camps, all that sort of stuff. So if in the future we could consider setting the first day of school for the next year, just like we did this past year, I would really encourage that. I think it's really helpful.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Cotter.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Mr. Tavernier and Ms. Hollander for getting together and bringing the calendar back at this time. Again, our community, I think, would like to have these dates. I just wanted to point out one thing, and I always do, that in November, we always have the Wednesday off before Thanksgiving. And I just want the community to know, thank your teacher, because that is not a vacation day. It is a teacher's...
it's compensatory.
Yes, it's a comp day for our staff because they do conferences in the evening. So because of that extended Thanksgiving, I thank our staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cotter. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move for a roll call vote on the school calendar.
All right, Mrs. Forrest.
Yes.
Mrs. Dodd.
Yes.
Mrs. Grisomkowski. Yes. Mr. Wiseman.
Yes.
Mrs. Pastana.
Yes.
Ms. Cotter is a yes. Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
We have a new calendar. Thank you.
All right. We will now move to public comments. Non-agenda items, section 12. I have a Miss Sarah Vincent. I invite you to the podium.
Thank you. The one that says push. All right. So I just wanted to come in and say that my daughter was a Lakeland High School 2021 graduate. She was accepted by a couple of top tier colleges. She'd also taken Mr. Perry's computer science AP class, computer science, and I'm guessing she's one of the first. But yeah, she's never been one that's been interested in computers either. But I think the teacher has a lot to do with their decisions in picking classes. So a couple of her close circle of high school friends are also enrolled at MSU, but also at Wayne State and U of M. And not only has she kept in touch with her crew, but I've also been able to have candid conversations with them, you know, over winter break, spring break, and so on. So I wanted to thank the Huron Valley School District for preparing them for success, because all of them are thriving. They're doing great at college, loving it, you know, staying at the school, not talking about transferring or anything like that. They were prepared, so thank you. I also wanted to touch quickly upon the realistic need to keep our kids globally competitive. Looking at our small community that seems to think similarly, you may forget that the kids will grow beyond the school district. I've heard some recent comments by parents about banning books, keeping facts about our country's history hidden behind a curtain to shield their kids, etc. But I think it's really important for parents to remember that their kids will grow up and not only interact, but also have to be competitive with peers globally, in college and beyond. So when, you know, people, students and adults alike are provided facts and taught to use critical thinking skills, they'll go much further in life than those that are left in the dark, uninformed, and think that a better life skill is to go into ostrich mode by sticking their head in the sand. So today, you know, on a daily basis, I work with global employees and suppliers, and my experience is that the world already looks at our education system as subpar. They're even able to speak intelligently about our government structures. Not many of us can say the same about theirs. You know, my peers in Canada, Brazil, Israel, India. For example, one of my suppliers had told me a joke a few years ago, and it's obviously stuck with me. He said, "What do you call someone that speaks 3 languages?" Trilingual. What do you call someone who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 1 language? American. Funny, but not funny, right? So in summary, we should always strive for excellence and not mirror Putin's strategy of keeping citizens ignorant because it meets an agenda, which is what I hear some parents asking for. But I'm hopeful that our educators know better and won't allow that. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Ms. Vinson. It's Shayna Levin.
Now it's on. There we go. All right. I just wanted to come up here tonight and make 2 comments. The first is, as many of you know, we are a school of choice to Huron Valley. Our home district is Walled Lake, and we moved here to Huron Valley just this year. My kids go to Oak Valley, and after the mask mandate was dropped, I asked my kids, I said, do you want to go back to Walled Lake where your friends and the buses are? And much to my surprise, they said no. They are really enjoying their time here in Huron Valley, as are we, as their parents. It's been really great being involved at Oak Valley. The administrators and the counseling staff have just been awesome. It's been great to be part of the parent mentor program and just really be involved in the school. The kids are starting to find their way and make friends, and I just want to thank you all for welcoming us and allowing the School of Choice program. I tell everybody that asks about it that, you know, it's year round, you can come anytime. So just want to thank you for for allowing them to have that opportunity. I also wanted to thank you for hearing the community when we've asked for more mental health resources. Parent Resource Night was really something that a lot of my network has really pushed for, because mental health is just so important all the time, but really in the last couple of years has just been such a problem. I hope that resources will continue to be spread within the school during the school day for the kids. Going to a Parent Resource Night is great, but sometimes kids just need help right then and there when they're having a crisis, when they're having an issue. It needs to just be something that's present at all times because, kids probably aren't going to go to parent resource night. They're not going to even go to kid resource night. They just want to be kids. And so I hope that the district will continue to, find ways to bring mental health help to the kids throughout the day, when they need it, how they need it, where they need it. And, I trust that you'll continue to try to find ways to do that. So I just wanted to say thanks tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to good and welfare. Do I have any good and welfare? Ms. Pastana.
Two things. I had the pleasure of reading at Mrs. Waters' third grade class at Lakewood the other day, and it was the highlight. It's the highlight when you get to go in the buildings and you get to be with the kids. And they had lots of exciting things. And I have noticed over the years when I ask, what's your favorite class in school? I had a lot of heavy gym class and recess, but this time it was reading, it was science, it was social studies. It was, they were just so happy with their curriculum, and it was really exciting. They were a great group. So I want to give a shout out to them. They did a great job, and they were great kids. And then the second is that I attended the Vocal Music Pops concert, and those kids are fantastic. I mean, I'm in awe of what happens at this district every single day. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out too.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Forrest.
Just, I know spring break is closing in on us, so everyone out there, all our families have a safe and wonderful and refreshing spring break. And let's hope for, if you're not going away, for some nice weather here in southern Michigan.
You had to get southern in there, huh? All right, Ms. Dodd.
I just want to say that I'm seeing some super cool 3D printed stuff coming out, and how exciting it is to have that technology in our buildings, including our elementary schools. And I went to have lunch at Kurt's, like I like to every once in a while, and it was maybe just a day or two after the recent professional development day where everybody got to cohort. And I talked to Mrs. Stewart, and she was still excited about the 3D printers. And then she's talking about 3D printers, and down one of the second grade teachers at the other end was like, did you use this? Did you try this? Did you try? There is 3D printer bonanza going on at the elementary school right now. They are thrilled. And they just kept talking about all the new and different and interesting things that they can do that they never even imagined they would be able to do in an elementary school specials computer class. So great job here on Valley for getting on the 3D printer wagon and getting our teachers and our whole buildings excited about 3D printing. It's super cool.
That's great. I'm a big 3D printer guy. All right, Ms. Grinzikowski.
I just want to say we are starting spring sports. And I just want to congratulate those that are making their teams and to wish them all well as they go into the spring season. This is an exciting time for them. So good luck. Go Eagles. Go Mavericks. You guys got this.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.